What TV show was amazing at first but became unwatchable for you later on? The Walking Dead. It started off as a great show and then just became a rinse and repeat of "oh, there are another group of human survivors. We'll clash and then kill each other." Heroes. Glee. The first season was a hilarious satire of stupid teen dramas. Then it became a stupid teen drama. Game of Thrones. Everyone hates season 8, and with good reason, but honestly, the show's quality began to drop at season 6. The Flash, Arrow, anything produced by CW. God, they had so much potential, but these stupid scriptwriters and directors turned it into a teenage crying fest. Literally every 5 minutes there would be an emotional dialogue. Pretty much every CW TV show, let's be real. Once upon a time. The last season was awful. House of Cards. Scandal. After a few seasons you'd wish Olivia would kick Fitz to the curb and move on already. Dexter, Series 1-4 were amazing, very hit and miss after that with a downright fucking terrible finale. Weeds. Once they left the first suburb, can't remember the name, it just became about who Nancy would fuck to get them out of a bad situation. Riverdale. Season 1 was a genuinely okay teen drama. Then it all went downhill. Still can't stop watching the madness though. The Flash, it peaked in Season 2 and quickly nosedived. True Blood. By Season 3 it was garbage. But guess who watched it all? Any of the CSIs. Once you get into about 3/4 seasons of them you start realizing how ridiculous some of these cases are. Sliders after they killed off Professor Arturo. No one has said orange is the new black yet. Seasons 1 and 2 were great. As soon as they brought Ruby Rose in, the show started to slow for me. That was not a good season. Also, I loved the first season of The Sinner, but I won't watch season 2 or 3 because everyone says they are not worth the time. The Blacklist was good in the start, but they took 5 seasons to go anywhere. Pretty Little Liars. 13 Reasons Why should not have got more than 1 season. Once Upon a Time. Initially loved it. I think the problem with US TV shows is that they go on for way too long. We should do them like novellas from Latin America. Tell the story in 60-70 episodes and then resolve it. Vikings. After Ragnar died it wasn't the same, no matter how many characters they tried to replace him with. I so hate saying this, but the X-Files. I had so much love for that show, but I couldn't get through the revival seasons. It made me appreciate how much great TV really is lightning in a bottle. For all I know, they just couldn't put a good story together without Vince Gilligan after all those years. Ben 10. How They Massacred My Boy. They totally destroyed it in the reboot. Revenge. The premise was fine, the location and society different, for someone in the UK anyway, the actors good, and the first series moved the whole revenge plot along fast enough to be satisfying. The subplots served as red herrings for the basic conspiracy and or snarky commentary on the class distinctions in the Hamptons, but didn't overwhelm the story. In Season 2 it all slowed down and everything was being spun out to make the show run as long as possible at the expense of quality. I made it through that season, but gave up in Season 3 as it had become pure soap by that point. Grey's Anatomy. This stuff is really helping me find shows with great 1-2 seasons and then know when to stop watching. That 70s Show. It basically petered out once most of the main cast left to star in other shows and movies. This thread made me realize how rare shows that keep their quality throughout the series are. One that comes to mind is Breaking Bad, and my all-time favorite, Rome, even though it was only 2 seasons. Bones. Fairly decent crime, cop show. Season 1 was excellent. It stayed fairly good for a decent chunk, then it started faltering around mid-ish Season 4. By the start of Season 7 it was a clusterfuck. By the time Bones gave birth in a fucking manger I'd knocked out. Glee, because for a while everything seemed okay but everything got too toxic and confusing after a while, which made me stop watching. The 100. Really compelling first season. Then it just got stupid. Edit. To be fair, Seasons 5 was truly amazing. The ending of it was one of the best endings to a season of anything I've ever watched. Then it went back to being trash. Designated Survivor. Holy moly. First season was amazing and everything else was glossy dog turd. The Promised Neverland. Why ruin such a beautiful story that was epic as a manga? The Goldbergs. The premise of it being based on real events from an 80s kid with the home videos at the end was great. Adam Goldberg was such a cute kid and the storylines were sappy, but eminently relatable. Now your star has gone through puberty and is trying to maintain a youthful innocence, and the plot lines are tired hash, yet the show lumbers on. Designated Survivor. The first half of season 1 was great, the second half was still okay but lost so much of its action that it became a lot less fun. The second season was too much political stuff for my liking and there was no big plot, just a bunch of little ones. Season 3, it got taken by Netflix and was absolutely horrible. Got rid of the best characters and brought in unlikable new ones. The language of the show completely changed and made it unwatchable. I stopped 2 episodes into season 3. Edit. Of course I get spammed with Reddit notifications over a comment like this. Bit of a tangent, as I've already seen The Walking Dead on here, but Fear the Walking Dead was fucking fantastic in the first season. Seeing how it all kicked off, how shit went down and how people slowly came to terms with the fact that the dead really were returning to life. It was epic. That should have been a one-and-done series, because the concept was great but it only had a shelf life of 1 season. Once the cat's out of the bag, it just became the other zombie show, with significantly less likable characters. Shameless. I think season 8 is where I noticed a distinct drop in quality. The dialogue was worse, the situations were more unrealistic, but overall it was still entertaining. Season 9 with the intro with the really poor CGI rats fucking threw me completely out and I turned it off. It was a harrowing show that provoked thought by exploring real issues and highly entertaining with its debauchery. In fact, Shameless was the first time I started crying and said, "Good for you character name." It just felt like it lost touch with itself and started leaning too heavily into shock value and absurd situations. Edit. US Shameless. Every show turns stupid at some point unless the writers set a predetermined end date. That's why Breaking Bad was so amazing and we talk so fondly about shows that end too soon like Firefly and Jericho. They never had the chance to turn stupid. Some shows get ended a little sooner, so they're better, but it still rubs us the wrong way because it wasn't all wrapped up like Breaking Bad. Suits. Prison Break. Shameless. Dexter. The show was great at first but the writers added drama by giving Dexter emotion even though he's a serial killer. Plus the whole sister wanting to fuck him thing is kind of a turn off as well, even though she's his step-sis. Bones. It's like once she met and married Booth she lost 10 IQ points every time they f***ed, so by the second season of their marriage and him all macho, she had the brains of a bumblebee. Useless and stupid, so I quit watching as I could not bear to watch it become the machoman rom-com it had become. Man in the High Castle. I'm still angry about it. Westworld Supernatural. I started watching for a dark, slightly too serious fantasy monster of the week show with light serial elements. Then it shifted gears almost entirely to angels versus demons and an almost purely serial narrative, and the main characters died and came back more than once, and I got bored. How to Get Away with Murder had so much potential. Most shows that lasts longer than 6-7 seasons or replaces its main cast more than 2 or 3 times becomes unwatchable. IMO. Rip my inbox. The Promised Neverland. Lost. Watching the first 3 or so seasons on TV was great but the longer it went on the worse it got. I haven't watched any of it again since that time and I doubt I ever would.